Hello, friends. My name is Lori. I am the daughter of Harriet, who is the daughter of Daisy, who is the daughter of Ether, who is the daughter of ancestors unknown. Okay, hello everyone. This is a quick and dirty how to do English paper piecing for those of you who missed class today. So I'm just going to go real quick over what stuff to bring, what we talked about in class. So first of all, I have plenty of scissors. I have two kinds of scissors. One is fabric only, so one for fabric and one for paper, right? Then I have a little pair of scissors for just snipping off threads and stuff. A rotary cutter and a mat, a cutting mat that's got healable surface. So if you want to cut your shapes. So, and then I have a ruler that has 60 degrees. It's a 60-degree ruler and this edge here, I'll show you that in a second, or just a straight edge ruler. And this is kind of fancy. It's got angles in it. There's 60 degrees right there if you want to use that. So then some pins if you want some pins, a pen, glue stick, and in my little box of tricks I have your basic cheapo schmeepo thread and some needles. I have a crap ton of needles. Mostly you're gonna need like the size 7 needle out of one of these things to use with this thread to sew the fabric to the papers, and then a more thinner milliner needle. It has a teeny itsy bitsy little eye, you can barely even see it. Super thin, super long, very different from these needles, which have a much bigger eye and are easier to thread. And then some papers. Where are the papers? So I've got a bunch of different things. There's like these little teeny ones, but mostly I have this lovely thing that we use today. And you can use this with like all that crap that you get in the mail. And you can punch out a little hexagon. There you go, just like that. And you can use this with glue or sewing. And then there's a bunch of fabric that you can use. Charm squares are good. You can get a lot of mileage out of this if you're careful. If you fold it in half, that's now, because these are usually 5 inches, right? It's a 5-inch square. Fold it in half, it's 2.5 inches. Fold it in half again, and you've got another 2.5 inches. So that will fit your little hexi pretty good. I mean, it'll fold out, you'll have like an extra bit of schmutz when you fold around like that, but it'll be fine. It's fine. Or if you want to use your 60-degree ruler, which I love doing this, but your mileage may vary. But so this is 5 inches. You fold it in half, and you get 2.5 inches. Fold it in half again, and then at the 2.5 mark, oh, it's not straight. You'd put the edge of the 2.5 on here, and then use your rotary cutter to choop, choop, and then you've got your little hexes that way. So there's a lot of different ways that you can cut your fabric to fit the hexes. I have these little things, like little lids from whatever, mayonnaise or I don't know. And these are helpful for if you want to do like fussy cutting. And fussy cutting means like you have, I mean, this is not that great, but like you have some cutesy little motif and you want to see through. You use this little plastic jazz to place where you want the middle of the hexi of the image to be, whether you want it to be straight up and down or whatever. And then you cut out, and then I put, I don't know if you can see, little lines that are like a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch, but little less than a full inch in there. I also have one of these. You could just draw around a little shape and then cut out the fabric, and that's your hexis. There's lots of different ways of cutting things out. So then you've got your hexi and you put fabric around it, and you can sew. So I sewed this one, and I sew through the papers onto the hexi, or you can glue it down. This one was the glued one, which I don't know, you can see it's kind of coming up. Maybe I don't know, maybe it's hot and humid here or something, but they're supposed to stay down with the glue, but I don't know. And then when you go to peel it off, it's all this sticky jazz in there. It's not my thing. But anyway, and then you get a couple of hexis and you sew them together by using the thinner thread. I have Wonderfill 60 or Aurifil 80, and you use those with the milliner needles. So where we go? So cheapo thread with the bigger needles to baste your fabric to the papers, and thinner thread with milliner needles to make teeny tiny itsy bitsy little stitches. I don't know if you can even see these little stitches there. So let me get reconfigured and I'll show you how to do all of those things. Okay, so here I have some very cutesy fabric with cute little things on them. So let's say I want, if we can fit this little girl in here. What I can do is either, just cut around it with, oh, here it is. Cut around it with my rotary cutter. There we go. This is very sharp. And I have my little mat here so I don't cut into anything precious. Let's move it a little bit. So I follow the edges of this thing here, my little template that I've made. Oh, I didn't quite get it off there. And just trace around each side. Come on. I think I need a sharper blade. Sharper blades are important. They're kind of pricey. Ooh, that didn't go very well at all, did it? But I can just use my scissors. We'll just cut off all that mess. There. So now we have our little hexi fabric, and then we have our little papers. Now the thing, we all have tons of vote for me and buy the scrap that you get in the mail, right? So you can use these over and over again with your paper scissors, not your fabric scissors. Once you trace around, you can make your little template out of yogurt lids or whatever, and you trace around and cut it out with your scissors there. But make sure if it's a lighter fabric, this isn't too light. I don't know. Sometimes the print on here, like maybe this is kind of dark. I guess that's gonna work. Sometimes you can see through it. Oh, maybe a little bit. You can sort of see that. That's part of the little thingy. So if you don't want that to show through, just use like the lighter side to do. Oh God. Okay, the motorcycles are gone. So now, close your rotary cutter so you don't cut yourself. So then we get some thread. About from like your finger to your elbow is plenty of thread, right? You don't want to get too much because it'll bunch up on you. So then you gotta thread your needle. This is kind of like one of the hardest parts. Let's make the tip, it's kind of frayed. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm gonna cut it back, and this is very cheap Yahoo thread that I don't care about, so it is a little frayed. But you see how there's a little tip of the thread. I'm gonna hide it so you can barely see it between my fingers, and the thread is down here, and I'm gonna push the needle down into the thread, and that's how you thread your needle, right? And then you pull through to the end, and you're gonna make a loop. Can you see that? I've got one end of the loop with the needle. The other end of the loop is the end of the loop. And then I'm putting the needle towards the left, towards the thread, on top of the thread. And then I'm gonna pinch both the thread and the needle and wrap around, I don't know, just a few times. And you can go either way. I go that direction. And then you're still pinching, and you pull the needle and the thread all the way through, and it makes a little knot. See the little knot? If that's too weird, just make a knot. Doesn't matter. That's like the fancy way to do it. All right, so you have your knot. Then you put your, yep, we got the white side. So then you put the light color against the back of your fabric and center your little shape just like that. And then you fold over one side. I like to use these little clips. It's not required. It's just a fancy extra step, and they're like $2.99 or something at your quilt store. And I'll give you a list of quilt stores that have these. And they're just, little clippies. I start with two sides. Make sure you've got a nice edge. I mean, the whole point is to make a nice little edge here. Put this clippy here. So now this is like holding on. It's not going to fall off. Sometimes I also use magnets. Magnets are, where are they? Ooh, they're so strong. Strong magnets. You put one magnet on one side, another magnet on the other side, and that will hold everything together. You can also use your glue stick and just glue your piece of paper onto the fabric. So lots of ways to do that. Then this is also a good needle minder. When you're getting up and doing stuff, you can do that. It won't roll away. Okay, so now you've got your fabric ready to go. So you've already got one side folded over. Then you fold over this side so that you get this little edge right there like that. And that's where your first stitch goes through both the fabric and the papers. Pull it through, and there's your little knot. And then we turn over to the next side and fold that over the edge so it makes like a little envelope there. Go through that side, pull it through, and just keep going. Just keep turning and fold over in the same direction as you go in and out. So I went, what did I do? Went that way, the first one, now I went that way, the second one. Now with the third one, we're gonna go this way. Ooh, I hit my finger. Don't hit your finger. And you can use a thimble if that's a thing. Sometimes I use a thimble, but I always forget, So just keep going around and around as you sew your fabric to the papers, and this will give you this nice sharp edge, and we're gonna sew these hexis together with these lovely edge in a tessellating sort of shape. So you want all of these to be going in the same direction so that when you sew them together, they'll all play nice. And then the last one, so here was the little knot, right? That's where we started. So you go through that last bit, go through again, and then through a loop just to make a secure, just to secure it down on there. And that's that story. And then you get your scissors and just cut that off there. And so there's your little hexi, right? Ooh, she wasn't exactly in the middle. Oh well, shit happens. So that's one hexi. The other way is to use the glue, and I'm not very good with the glue, but I will show you how to use the glue. Anyway, so let's say we're gonna cut out this rose. This is a nice rose. So here, I'll show you how to do it with just the scissors. So I just hold it, you know. I mean, you could use, oh hey, we could use the, let's see, will the magnets go through the plastic? Oh, they do. Look at that. I've never tried that before. Huh. Learn something new every day. Okay, so then you take your fabric only scissors, and you just cut around your little template, right? Ooh, this is actually easier than the rotating thing. See, you don't need fancy equipment. And these scissors, these are just like some scissors that I got from Freddy's or something. I don't know. And what makes them fabric scissors is you only cut fabric with them. I mean, they're just cheap crapo scissors, but if you know, out of the box, only use them for fabric, they're fine. You can use them for a long time. I mean, they're not fancy schmancies, but they're fine. As long as you only use fabric to cut with these, they're good. Totally good. Okay, so now you've got your next piece and your next hexi. Let's see, is that going to show through? That's a nice dark one, so you can't really see, huh? Can you see that? No. Okay. So this time what we'll do is we'll put the hexi in the middle there. And how do you work this thing? Oh, there you go. You pull the top off, and you've got a little bit of gooey-ness there. And what you want to do is you just want to put the glue not right on the edge, because that's where you're going to be sewing, and you don't want to get stuck in like this gooey grossness. So you just want to put it like below, just below the edge, right? Just below. And you can go all the way around, putting the glue on. All that sticky glue. Ugh. And then you put your piece, let's get that more centered. There we go. And then you fold over each edge, right? And just like we did with the sewing, you keep going in that same sort of direction, so you get the little fold like that. Bend it over, and then you can use your fingers to get the glue to stick to the fabric, just like that, and on your fingers and up in your fingernails. Really gross. So I don't like getting all the glue all over my fingers. Let's see, is that gonna stay? Come on, just stay. And you can always add some more glue if it's not gonna stay. And there you go. And that's a little more centered. So now you have two hexis, and you're gonna put them together. So you take them pretty sides together, and you face them, put them face to face. And again, I use the little clips, or you can use the magnets, whatever you choose. And I just put, you know, I just put one clip. That's fine. And then I use the, what do you call this stuff? The, nope, that's not the right needle. This is, I like the Wonderfill, the 60 weight. 60 is higher weight than this stuff. This stuff is 50 weight. Your basic thread that you get at Joann's, or, well, not at Joann's anymore, but whatever, you know, cheapo, you can get this at Freddy's, right? 50 weight on a regular needle with a big eye. This is 60 weight. They also make Aurifil 80 weight. These are thinner than the 50 weight, and you use a thinner needle, a milliner needle. My little cheesy needle book here. This is super, super thin, and you can barely even, I don't know if you can even see the eye of this needle. So we're gonna pull out just to the elbow worth of thread here. Get that off. And then again, pinch the thread in between your fingers till you can just barely see it, and then you put the needle onto the thread. It's just like that. So you have more, oops, nope, I didn't get it. So you have more support, and it'll, see now it's squished, so you gotta cut off a little bit. Your fingers have more support this way if you hold the thread, you know, deeply between your fingers, and you push the needle down onto there, just like that, and it threads. And then we make the little U shape, pinch there, wrap, and then just squish it down all the way through, and it makes your little knot there. Okay, so now we see the papers. There's the dark one, the dark paper and the light paper, and then, oh seriously, can you hear that motorcycle? Man, this neighborhood. Anyway, so you're just going through the very tops, the very edges. Oh, I'm out of focus, aren't I? There we go. It's a little better. You're going through just the little edges of the tops that are above the paper. Like if you went right there, you would be into the paper, right? That's like into the paper. So you want to go way close to the edge of the just catching the fabric, and you can feel it. You feel it hit the paper. If you feel it hit the paper, pull it back out. Do it again. Just skimming the edge, right? Pull it through, and there's your little knot. And then you do it a second. The second stitch is going to be really close to the first stitch. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see how close I got to that first stitch? And then you're going to catch the loop, put your needle through the loop, and make a nice secure knot. Just give it a little bit of a tug. Don't pull too hard. And then that's it. Then you just keep stitching along. You put your needle through, right, really close to the last one, and just go, oops, through, and make sure your little tail that's here is like a good long tail. Because if it's too short and you pull, it'll just slide right out of the eye, and then, oh god, you're gonna have to thread it all over again. Oh my god, ask me how I know. So it's just this nice and easy little stitching all the way across this side. Alright, I don't want you to have to watch this whole thing, so let me pause here. Okay, so once you get to the other side, you're going to do your last stitch on this side, and again, make a loop and put the needle through the loop, so you're making a little knot on that edge. And now you've got two of them that are together. And I don't know, you can sort of see my stitches, but I don't care. I want people to see my work. Ooh, see, this is the thing with glue. It comes apart. You gotta like glue it down again. Ugh, pain in the butt. Okay, put the glue stick away so it doesn't drive up. So now you've got two pieces that are together, and the needle's still here. So let's see, where is my needle? My needle is right here. So the next direction you're gonna go is this direction, right? You just want to cross here. Well, I guess you could go that way too, but I like to knit in this direction. I don't know, it's just me. So you're gonna take another hexi, your third hexi, and see how there's this Y shape? This is called a Y seam. And trying to do a Y seam on a sewing machine is stupendously hard. With this, you can bend the paper, so it's much easier to sew. Oh, so fabulous. But since we're at the little seam, we finished this little row. We're gonna put this here, and it doesn't matter with this. It doesn't matter which direction you go. So you're just going to put it next to here. And these two are going to be the ones that you're going to do next. I'll put a little clip here. And then when you're at this little corner, you want to make sure that you catch both this. Let's see. Focus. There we go. So you want to catch both this edge and this edge, but also this edge of this. You know, you've got two hexes here. So you want this edge to go with this and this edge to go with that. So I'm going to go in just this little corner here and just this little corner there. Catch both of those and make a little hole, you know, make my little loop and go through there to make that be a secure little knot right there. And then go through this edge and the blue one right there. See how that went? Oops, right there. And then go through and make another knot. And now that side is secure. And now you can keep going this way. So again, I'm gonna start, ooh, I'm blind. Start this edge here. And the very first one, again, another knot, because, you know, you can never have enough knots. So now you've got a knot connecting these two. So this side is connected, this side is connected, and these two. And now you can just skim the very top of your little pieces of fabric and just keep sewing. So I'll come back. Okay, so I finished that side. And you can sort of see my stitches. I don't know. Let's see. Whatever, it's fine. So now I have these two connected and these two connected. There's still this space in here. So what I would do is, let's pretend like this is my middle of the flower, of our little hexi flowers that we're making. And I would keep going around the flower like this. I would attach another hexi here, another hexi here, another hexi here, and here. And they'll all have like disconnected sides, but they'll all be connected to the circle. But I'll just go back and redo the sides that are missing, right? And then you end up with your little flower like this, or like this. These are some that I did with the fussy cutting. I fussy cut a little image of a little thing, and then also fussy cut these so that these are in a directional, I mean, sort of directional. It's not perfect, but I like it. There's your little flowers, right? And you can sew, you can see how it's like a puzzle piece. All these flowers can just go together. You can do that. Or you can make shapes that, so these were, what do they call these? They call these kites, I think. It's a kite shape. And you can put the hexi in the middle and put the kites here and then fill that space with this. And then you've got this kind of thing. These were little squares. This was a triangle. This is a 60-degree diamond that I tried to do a fussy cut of each little thingy, but I don't know. Maybe that's not so bad. That's okay. And of course, and you can see, I didn't do it very straight. I don't care. I'm just going to cut that off when I'm done, you know, and add it to something else or whatever. I'm not a perfectionist. I'm not like, these have to be all exact. I'm just like, isn't this fun? Look how fun this is. Funny colors, cute little images, whatever. Who cares? So that is the beginning of putting together your papers and then adding them to some clothes. Or in class today, I showed everybody my pants. I have holes in the butt of my pants, and so I have these little flowers on my butt. So anyway, that's the beginning. That's what we did in this first class. and just had a good time jibber jabbering. And I will include in my email all the links to like local shops and things like that. See you next week.